For the third time that week, the HOA president gate and destroyed my sick wife's healing garden. That was the morning I decided it would never happen again. It was 6:30 a.m. in rural Texas. I stood at my kitchen window holding a cup of coffee as her white Lexus tore through my private gate like it was a public road. Tires crushed the blue bonnets my wife planted during chemotherapy. My cattle scattered in panic. Her oxygen machine on the porch shut off for a moment from the vibration. She never even slowed down. What she didn't know was that I had spent the entire weekend preparing for this exact moment. My name is Clayton Rivers. I'm 58 years old, retired after 28 years in the U.S. Marines, where I worked on hydraulic systems aboard aircraft carriers. Now I raise cattle and take care of my wife, Sarah, who's fighting stage 3 breast cancer on our ranch in East Texas. We bought this land 5 years ago after her diagnosis. Doctors told us stress could make things worse, so we found 200 acres of quiet pasture with a creek running through it. Sarah dreamed of building a butterfly garden filled with native Texas wildflowers. On her good days, she sat on the porch with her oxygen tank beside her, watching monarch butterflies drift through the blooms. 2 miles away sat a fancy subdivision called Meadowbrook Heights. 200 identical homes, perfectly painted mailboxes, and an HOA that controlled everything. That's where Brenda Winchester came from. She was the HOA president, 52 years old. Pharmaceutical sales manager, white Lexus, endless confidence. Our trouble started when I caught her measuring my gate with a tape measure. She was wearing heels and a business suit, standing on my gravel driveway like she owned it. I calmly told her this was private property and asked her to use the public access road. She looked at me and said, "I've been using this road for years. There's a right of way. Deal with it." She climbed into her ATV and drove off, leaving deep ruts through Sarah's garden path. That was just the beginning. Soon, the ATV became an SUV. Every morning at 7:15, that Lexus came roaring through my land, through the gate, past the house, straight through my wife's garden. Dust, noise, stress. My cattle learned to run when they heard her engine. My prize Angus bull jumped a fence and tore his leg on barbed wire. $800 in vet bills. Sarah stopped sitting outside. She told me she felt like she was living in a fishbowl. Her doctor noticed her stress levels rising. That's when I knew this wasn't just about a shortcut. It was about power. Then Brenda escalated. She started bringing the entire HOA board onto my ranch for what she called community inspections. 12 people walking through a working cattle ranch like tourists, leaving gates open, spooking animals, standing right in Sarah's butterfly garden while she talked about building a gazebo there. That was the day I decided to document everything. I installed trail cameras across my property, the same motion sensor technology used for perimeter security. What they showed shocked me. Brenda wasn't just trespassing. She was charging neighbors $50 per person for authentic Texas ranch tours. When she spotted the cameras, she waved at them and smiled. "Can't stop me," she yelled. I reviewed the footage. 47 trespassing incidents in 3 weeks. I called my old Marine buddy Jake, now a lawyer. He told me this was criminal trespass with commercial intent. We needed proof of intent and pattern. That's when Brenda filed for a county easement and announced plans for an HOA security booth near my gate. My bank froze my credit line. My insurance company started asking questions. Neighbors started doubting me. Sarah ended up hospitalized after collapsing during chemo. That night, sitting beside her hospital bed, I decided this was no longer just defense. I hired a professional surveyor and pulled decades of county records. There was no easement, none. And worse, the HOA water line illegally crossed 3 other ranches for 15 years. I met with my neighbors. They had all been bullied the same way. Threats, fines, intimidation. At the county hearing, Brenda couldn't produce real documents. The meeting was postponed. 2 days later, she filed a nuisance complaint demanding daily fines against my ranch. That's when I found the smoking gun. The original water easement expired in 1987. The HOA never renewed it. Brenda had forged documents years later to cover it up. Her own husband eventually came to me with copies of the real records. Fake signatures, fake seals, dead notaries, federal crimes. With help from prosecutors, I prepared for the next move. Because people like Brenda don't back down. They panic. I installed a legal hydraulic bollard system at my gate. Steel posts designed to stop heavy vehicles. Fully permitted, fully documented. Warning signs posted. Brenda ignored all of it. She told residents I was holding their water hostage. She organized a convoy. 15 vehicles. She live-streamed it. Monday morning, she led the group in her white Lexus. Federal agents were already nearby. She hit the gate at 15 miles per hour. The bollards rose in half a second. Her Lexus was destroyed instantly. Transmission cracked. Fluids everywhere. The horn stuck blaring. She was trapped. FBI agents arrested her on the spot, forgery, fraud, conspiracy, obstruction, all on live stream. Her HOA collapsed within weeks. Residents received refunds. My neighbors were compensated. My wife's medical bills were covered. Sarah's health improved once the stress was gone. Her butterfly garden expanded. Monarchs returned. Brenda went to federal prison, and our ranch became peaceful again. If this story taught you anything, it's this: documentation beats intimidation every time. Thank you for watching HOA Prime Stories. If you've dealt with HOA abuse or property rights threats, share your story in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay informed, because standing up for your rights starts with knowing them.